Well, crap. You're not modulating, Travis. So I'm gonna play a thing, and I will call you right back. Okay. Listen to the sounds of the creepy
You got me?
box. Yep, sure do.
Can you hear me?
Yep, sure can. All right.
I
I'll
cannot
play.
hear you. Hang on. Can you
You
hear
can't
me?
hear me? Yeah.
I can now.
Okay. Okay.
Am I modulating?
You're modulating.
Awesome. Okay. I'll be right back.
It's Wednesday.
I'm staying and
You're listening
I'm staying
to
here,
Mystic
but I'll be
Moon
back.
Cafe with Wendy Schindler
Okay.
and Travis Short. Every week, we will interview guests that are experts in various fields of the supernatural, paranormal, unexplained, and esoteric. So sit back and let us take you on a journey to educate, enlighten, and entertain as we broaden your horizons. Now, here's your hosts, Wendy Schindler and Travis Short. You're listening to Mystic Moon Cafe. The views and opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the network, or our sponsors.
And not always, the hosts don't always agree on everything either. Don't get us wrong.
I heard that. Just because I said I was going somewhere didn't mean I was.
Oh, you went away. I know you.
Oh.
Hi, Travis.
Hi, Wendy. How
How are
we?
you? Oh, we're
I'm fine. We're not live, are we?
Yes, we are.
Already?
Yes,
We're 3 minutes
already.
early. We're 3 minutes early.
Oopsie. Well, we'll be a little bit early then.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're already live?
I forgot to look at the time. I apologize.
Now you just thrown my whole night off.
You need me to play some music or something for...
No, I'm good. So how's your week?
It's going.
How are your toes and foot?
Not bad.
Okay,
Not
that's
bad.
good.
Mm-hmm. And been
That is
trying to get up and around a little bit more to help that swelling crap that seems to want to go on all the time. But
Well, that's
otherwise,
not good.
I think I just need to move more. I've always had a little edema. I've always had a lot of diabetes. So, it's just a matter of balancing and clawing your way up out of the murky basement.
You make yourself sound like a walker from The Walking Dead.
I am. I almost am. My dogs won't let the transformation complete, though. So it's a fine line.
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
How was it
has
at the
been.
station today? Uh-oh. I asked.
Well,
Run for your
no.
lives!
Yeah, no, it's it wasn't a bad day. It was just really busy. A lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
I like this stream of people. It kept just coming into my office, and primarily we had a lot of college students who are out now coming in wanting to apply for part-time work.
Well, sure.
So,
Summer's coming up, right?
Yeah, summer's coming up. So had several of those. Had a really good show this morning with the executive directors of tourism for Floyd County and Johnson County there. I had a really interesting show with them talking about what can be done to help the community become more tourist friendly, to attract different types of tourism, the film industry, things like that. So really interesting show this morning. Kind of fun. We had two really interesting news stories that I had to comment on. When the way that show's set up, it's an hour-long show, and at the bottom of the hour, my producer, who's also our news director, comes into the booth, and he does the news live from his sources. So he'll do the headline, then read his story, and then he and I will BS back and forth. But there were two stories that were really interesting. One was concerning a woman there in eastern Kentucky that stole $26,000 worth of Girl Scout cookies.
Oh my God! That's just so wrong. And she didn't
I
even
know.
share, right?
I know. And those things are expensive. That's like 4 boxes of Girl Scout cookies that she got away with.
4 boxes.
And I'm like, wait, at least she wasn't difficult to find. The police just followed the cookie crumbs all the way to her house. But yeah, she had stolen $26,000 worth of Girl Scout cookies.
Oh my
Absolutely
gosh.
hilarious. The other story was actually as a story that resurfaced. There was, and there's 2 things about this story, actually 3 that make it interesting. In a neighboring county, not in the county where I work, and actually not even in really one of the counties that we service as a radio station, although it's in our secondary market area. An illegal cockfighting ring was busted up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and a couple of the interesting things about the story was the first person to be sentenced in that crime is actually from my hometown in Virginia. He's a 71-year-old man from Clintwood, Virginia, and he was sentenced for his taking part in the illegal cockfighting. Now, the other thing that I find interesting, and this is what I said, is that I find it somewhat disturbing that we have to say illegal in conjunction with cockfighting.
I know, right?
To me, that's like saying illegal rape or illegal murder or illegal child abuse or illegal robbery. It's almost redundant. But Kevin, the producer, is like, well, he said, actually, I looked at it. He said there are some states where it is actually legal. He said it's legal in Ohio, it's legal in New Mexico, and then there was like 1 or 2 other states out west where it's actually legal. It's overseen by the gaming commissions, and it's considered a legal sport. The other thing that was interesting is that the owners of the cockfighting ring had to pay. It was a 10,000 square foot cockfighting ring.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh my. Well, did they hand out binoculars so that people at one end could see the other?
That's what I'm wondering. What I'm wondering. But it was funny because Kevin just kept cracking up when he was reading the story, and I kept cracking up watching him because I knew what he was laughing about. It's the only time in his broadcast career he is going to be able to use the term cock and ring in an actual news story. And that's exactly after we got off the air. That's exactly what he said. He said, I can't do it with a straight face. So that was fun. I'm sure. That was a fun story. It's still kind of is overshadowed by the $26,000 worth of stolen Girl Scout cookies.
Good heavens.
I know. And she didn't share. From what we understand, she just hoarded them up. She did not share them with anyone. And Kevin's thing was like, Walmart has their own version, and they're just as good, and they're a hell of a lot cheaper.
But if you buy the Girl Scout cookies, you are supporting the Girl Scouts, and it is theoretically, it's a very good organization. Somebody's howling at me.
Yes.
And
if you steal the cookies, then you are robbing the Girl Scouts.
You are. And that's a mafia I would not go up against, period. Even if Elliot Ness came back to stand by my side, I would not go against the Girl Scouts.
But the sad thing is, the woman who did it was actually a den mother.
Oh, man.
Yeah, she was actually a den mother. Yeah.
Well, apparently one of those dens...
Now, another...
Oh, go ahead, please.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I was just, how they've opened up so that the hunters, quotation marks and rolling eyes, of course, can go in and kill the denned up mother bears, mother wolves with the cubs. So, obviously, she is one that would go hunting those poor little individuals.
They would, as a matter of fact. Now, the other interesting story that we had today actually involved a television station in Moorhead, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about this station is that their FCC license expired 20 years ago. But they kept broadcasting. And just the first part of this year, the FCC sent them a letter basically stating, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically stating, we've let this go on long enough. You haven't refiled your petition for a license. You are no longer allowed to broadcast. They were fined almost $150,000.
Wow.
And they have 30 days to pay it. Now, my question is, well, what happens if they don't? They're going to have their license revoked? It's already gone. And Kevin's like, well, he said, I think there's, they can impose jail time. I said, they're going to impose federal jail time for not paying to broadcast the TV. I said, I don't see them going to jail for that. I don't see them going to jail for not paying the fine.
No, probably not. But they could, get their hands smacked really hard.
It could, although I'm really considering talking to my boss who owns WDOC Incorporated. Mm-hmm. Maybe I can buy a TV station and add that to the media mix.
And what would you have on this station?
Well, that's just it. I don't know.
Okay.
We could look at becoming an affiliate. We could be we could look at PBS, NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox. We could look at original content, original programming. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure, but Moorhead's not that far away from Prestonsburg.
Okay.
It might work. Could start growing the media empire.
Right.
You're
do
laughing
it.
At me.
I am laughing at you, but it could be done. But your boss would have to hire me on with a really good salary.
Well, I know. Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We get this additional. We get this additional media platform.
Mm-hmm. You sell the heck out of it to advertisers.
Do the heck of it to advertisers. Mm-hmm. Do some original. Create a news team.
Absolutely.
Work in conjunction with Moorhead State University. Work in conjunction with the University of Pikeville. Work in conjunction with Big Sandy Community and Technical College. Hell,
we'll bring Augie and Dakota on too.
Exactly, they could be the mascots.
Exactly, they could have Rough Hour.
They could.
They
could. Mm-hmm. So
kind of like the Puppy Bowl during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ooh, I like it.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what's been going on. Mm-hmm. Busy time. Mm-hmm. Summer is always interesting in the broadcasting world, especially from an advertising standpoint. Everything, as you and I have talked, it kind of goes on hiatus.
Right.
You get a lot of shows that start running repeats. Our talk station will start doing that, even though we just picked up the talk format. Rush Limbaugh, one of our flagship programs, he goes on vacation, starts having people come in and host for him, and they run the best of shows. So it's really interesting. Advertising sales fluctuate. It's hit or miss. So I'm bracing, trying to put a game plan together for that. We've got just a lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff. Did a very long training day on Friday. Retrained every employee, cross-trained every employee. Everyone shift, everything they're supposed to be doing, what to do if the power goes out, how to keep the radio station up and running when the rest of the town is without power.
Right.
Just a very, very long, about 4 hours worth of training. We took a break for an hour lunch we had catered in, and then it was just really, really nonstop.
Very good. Hopefully
cool stuff.
It will sink in and they'll get with it.
Well, I'm hoping.
Mm-hmm.
I am hoping.
So. Yeah, are we still going to perhaps try to incorporate Mystic Moon Cafe into the talk show or the talk radio?
Well, I'm going to have to clean up my act a whole lot.
Well, I know that's right. You ought to anyway.
I can't. I know, but I'm going to have to. It's a sad thing when we have to have a disclaimer on the show, not because of our guest, but because of one of the co-hosts. And then for Wendy to tell me that she's going to make us stop doing the Mystic Moon Mixer cocktail hour because my tongue gets a little loose. I'm like, but Wendy, it's internet radio. No one's monitoring. She's like, I know. How bad do you have to be for me to tell you to stop?
No, I never said that. I never said that.
You specifically said you had no idea how to edit out the string of expletives that I let out a few weeks ago.
Yes, I did say that, and I meant it. Hi, Susan. Hi, Kimberly.
Oh, Susan Bell.
Mm-hmm. We have chatters in the chat room.
Susan told me she was going to be calling in tonight. We got a great show tonight. We honestly though, I say that every week, and I'm not lying. Every week we have a great show.
Yes, we do. A lot of fun, a
Every
lot of
week,
banter, a lot of BS.
A lot of BS. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of BS. But every show is every show is unique. I love our guests. I love the fact that we're kind of branching out. Of course, part of me is going, "Damn it, Wendy! I know what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing. You really are ramping up for this whole spin-off show that isn't paranormal or isn't where we're not dealing necessarily with authors, but we deal with pop culture and we deal with the political thing. I know what you're doing."
Oh, well, I just thought I was kind of shooting from the hip and going for it. I had no evil master plan, but I could certainly incorporate one.
I'm sure. Yeah. And the evil laugh is down as she taps her fingers together like a Bond villain. So.
Oh my God! Why did Mini-Me come up in my head?
Now be careful. Okay. Are you implying that you're my Mini-Me? Because that may be a job description you don't want on your resume.
No. No, because who would hold the leash then?
I know, right?
Right.
I know. But no, we've had some great guests since we relaunched. We have had. We've always had good guests.
Yes.
We always have, and it's nice bringing back some regulars. We've had Andrea Perrin on last week. Phenomenal show with Andrea.
Yes.
She's just always so. We even went like a half hour longer than the show. We went to about 11:30, and she's just such a wonderful, warm, kind person. She's always entertaining and enlightening. Nick Redfern, amazing guest. Love having Nick.
Yes.
Nick's coming back on next month, as a matter of fact, talk about his new book, the Roswell crash. We're going to be discussing that.
June 14th, correct?
June 14th, yes, that is correct. June 14th. And of course,
you need help?
I do. I'm having little mini seizures. My mind's going, I can't quite. And I was actually doing this today on my morning show. I was like, I would start to speak, and it was like nothing was there. It'd be
gone, right? Yeah, no, that happens to me all the time.
I'm like, what the hell? Well, I can't say that. I can't say that.
You can say hell, because it's a place. It's an actual place. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is. I've been there. I've spent some time.
I may live there. I'm not positive. Excuse me. Well, next week we have a woman by the name of Kim Douthit. She's out of Seattle, Washington, and she's a paranormal honey, or supernatural honey. I forget what. And she's
she's a horror honey. Horror honey.
There we go.
Yeah,
but she is the supernatural honey. That's her role. And they have a magazine. She works at a place called Spooked in Seattle, where our great friends June Antoinette Nixon, who I've known since high school, and then Ross Allison, they own and run that there, and they do ghost tours and whatnot. And Kim is one of the tour guides, actresses. She gets all into character and everything. So we've got that. And then on the May 31st, we have Cammie Anderson and Richard Estep coming back.
Yes, that just got confirmed this evening, as a matter of fact. They're going to come back on. Mm-hmm. And we are going to talk to them together about the Haunting of Asylum 49. Then we're actually working on individual shows for each of them to come back individually to talk about their individual endeavors that are not. Mm-hmm. Individually, they're coming back on as individuals to discuss individual endeavors. Yes.
I
know that was somewhat redundant.
Only slightly.
Just a little bit. It's a cyclical cycle. It was a cyclical cycle.
Now, what's the difference between a scythe and a sickle?
A couple of letters, I guess.
like the Grim Reaper. Remember in
yes, I know.
Tucker and what's his name fight evil?
Dale,
Dale
Tucker and Dale versus evil. Yeah. Well, I actually don't. It's kind of like the difference between a fiddle and a violin. There really isn't.
Yeah,
It's kind of
what I thought. Yeah.
It's the way it's held, and it's what it's used for.
Part of the world you're from, and what you
exactly.
want to say.
Yeah, I think. Now, see, you've got me interested because I'm wondering if sickle wasn't some kind of colloquial term that was used, like here in the in the states and in the colonies, because scythe is the correct term for it, and I'm just wondering if sickle, wasn't one of those things. It's like, for example, everyone knows what a cicada is. Right. Well, here in Virginia and in Tennessee and in some of the other states, they call them katydids.
I've heard that one too.
And it's the spelling and the way that they look, and just cicada kind of looks like katydid. So I don't know, but it is interesting. Violins, fiddles, same instruments, just in the way it's held and what's played on it. If it's a violin, you hold it, on your arm with your resting on your shoulder with your neck on it. If it's a fiddle, you actually just hold it on your arm. It doesn't come anywhere near your chin or neck. And then, of course, the type of music that's played on it. And you're not really going to find someone playing "The Devil Went Down to Georgia" on a Stradivarius, although they might.
I have no idea what Charlie Daniels played it.
I don't think it was a Stradivarius.
Probably not. Anyway, after that,
might have been a straight virus.
Could have been. Oh, you went back to your natural tone and inflections. Yeah. We have Becky Ray of Ghosts a Go-Go. She's out of Kansas City, and she every second or third Thursday of the month she has a platform. It's a little itty-bitty spot in the historic downtown Kansas City. And they get up there.
Don't downplay it or anything.
I didn't know.
It's a hole in the wall. It's a little.
It really is a hole in the wall. And it's in the, it's not in the Power and Light District, but it's very near to that. And anyway, they get up and tell ghost stories and entertain. No, well, it depends on what you consider red light, because there might be a lot of crime right there.
If June is listening, June, I got a word for you. Brothel.
It may have once upon a time been a brothel, but I can't swear to that because I don't know the history of the place. We'll ask her when she comes on.
Yes.
And then on the June 11th, we will have David Weatherly and Dave, Spinoff or something like, what's his name? Anyway.
Dave Ripoff. It's Dave Ripoff.
Anyway, they will be on talking about Mothman. So Travis, we won't even be able to get Travis to stop.
I'm very anxious to. I haven't had an honest roundtable dialogue discussion about Mothman in several years. I mean, I've been on shows and I've discussed Mothman, but having other experts, other individuals who have researched it, I haven't had the opportunity to do that probably in about 6 years. Probably the last time I was at Point Pleasant for the Mothman Festival. That was the last time I got to partake in something where other recognized experts in the field got to talk about it. So I'm very excited.
Hi, Gretchen. That's Travis talking. We'll get Bill here in a minute.
But now this particular show with Mothman is actually going to be it's not our regular day and it's not our regular time.
Right. Well, we haven't really decided on a time, but it'll be near. It'll be within an hour, one way or the other on that. So it'll all be good.
Fine. Make me out to be a liar.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
So we say all of that to basically say we have great guests.
Yes,
we have great content.
Yes, we do.
We have great content. And tonight we have another one of our favorite irregulars. we do have we have our core our core of guests. Andrea Perrin, Nick Redfern, June, Ross. And then, of course, tonight we have Bill Bean. And
Correct,
Bill,
yes.
personal friend of mine, client, somebody who is very, very dear to my heart. I've grown to love this man as a brother and as a friend over the past several years. Bill and I have known each other now about 7 years.
Travis, it's okay. If you love him in another way, it's okay on the show. We don't want to hear specifics, but we're very accepting. You understand.
I'm glad this is a safe zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, But we have Bill on tonight. Now, the interesting thing tonight is, while we will talk about, of course, Dark Force, and we will talk about Delivered and things like that, we are kind of going in a slightly different direction with Bill tonight.
Yes, we are.
We're going to be talking about the Mandela effect, which Bill has become recognized nationally as one of the leading voices discussing the Mandela effect and what it is and how it is invading our reality and shifting our paradigm. He has actually been invited to very, very close to where I am. Actually, he was in, I think, Greenville, Tennessee, just a couple of months ago, and that's just across the state line here in Virginia into Tennessee, speaking at a church, talking about this. He's being reached out to on a regular basis by folks. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. We're going to talk a lot about his encounters with UFOs. We broached this subject with Andrea Perrin last week, talking about how that there at the farmhouse, it wasn't just the haunting, it wasn't just this supernatural, ghostly activity that was going on, but there were lights in the skies, and there were all of these other types of entities and paranormal and supernatural occurrences, and we really kind of opened a doorway there that Andrea never had really walked through with us before. And that was discussing, her own UFO sightings and UFO encounters. And we're going to do that with Bill because Bill travels a lot. He flies a lot. He's at airports all the time. And I stay in touch with Bill, not as much as I used to, not as much as I like. But I do hear from him, even if it's not a phone call, I get an email. And he'll tell me about something strange that he's witnessed in the skies. And he'll, if he's able to, he snaps a picture and sends to me. And we're going to talk about his conspiracy theories tonight. We're going to go in depth into some of his theories on the New World Order. We're going to talk to him about chemtrails and the poisoning of this country by DARPA and our government, and some of the things that are nefarious within the walls of our own U.S. government. So we're going to kind of go a different direction tonight, just to shake things up a little bit, because God knows I don't like mediocrity and boredom. It's a dangerous thing when I get bored.
Well, hence you have me to,
Since I have you, I know.
Throw the curveball in occasionally and go, hey, let's do such and such.
If I could, I would just lay on the couch with a gun and shoot a smiley face into the wall like Sherlock does. I mean, that's what I would do if I had my choice when I get bored.
I understand, yes.
But we have Bill Bean on tonight, and I guess we're going to play a song, and you're going to get Bill on, and then we'll come back, and we're going to jump right into conversations with Bill Bean.
That's correct, yes.
Awesome.
All right. We'll play Sun God by the Delta Saints off of their newest album. I forget the name of their newest album, but y'all will like it. Hang on. It's only about a 3-minute song. Be right back.
You're looking good for a man on fire. He's getting thin down to the wire. I'm in your way and will not be moved. The tide has finally reached the floor. Pressure coming right round and oh.
And that was Sun God by the Delta Saints. I believe we've got the guys on the line now.
There's Wendy.
Here I am.
Okay.
Hi.
Hey, Wendy lady.
Hi, Travis.
How are you, Wendy?
Oh, just peachy. How you doing, Bill?
Great. Looking forward to the show.
Oh, yeah.
And as always, we'll have a lot to talk about.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
As always.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were talking, Bill, you are, we have kind of, like parents aren't supposed to have favorites in their children. We do, unfortunately, have favorites in our guests many times, and you rank up there in like the top 5 of our favorite guests that we love having on the show. Just because you always bring such a breadth of knowledge that we're able to discuss.
Praise
and that's
God for it. It's all him, and I sit here, not only answer messages all the time, but I also like studying, and I just can't stop. I'm always checking on the latest news and things that are taking place in the world. And I'll tell you, just the amount of things that are taking place on a daily basis now are just it's off the charts.
It is. We were talking before Wendy brought us live about something, and we'll come back to that. But I said early on, before Wendy got you on the phone, that we kind of want to go a different direction, just because while Dark Force and what happened to you is fascinating, and it made you the person that you are, and we'll talk about that in kind of the second hour. But you have you have expanded your areas of expertise. You have broadened your own horizons personally, spiritually, theologically. And so it always, to me, it seems like we're kind of pigeonholing you and boxing you in this corner where that we only talk about Dark Force. And I do want to talk about that because I do think that impacted you. But there's something that has come to the forefront, and I want to use this as our foundation and kind of the springboard for the conversation tonight, because it does open up a whole plethora of opportunity for dialogue and discussion. There is a kind of a movement, an event, a situation. I'm not exactly sure what term you want to use, that has been dubbed the Mandela effect. And it deals with this perception many times that people think that they remember something happening. They remember an event. They remember a movie title. They remember a slogan for a commercial, or the way something looked on a cereal box. They think they remember it, but they can't find any evidence or proof of it. And it's been dubbed the Mandela effect. And you have become one of the leading voices nationally about this effect and how it is permeating and invading our reality, our culture, and how it is basically shifting the paradigm of reality. So by way of introduction, I want you to explain to folks what the Mandela effect is and why it has that particular name. And then I want to talk about some of these specific examples that you email me on a regular basis and that you have been discussing, traveling the country, talking about this. You were actually, I think, in Greenville, Tennessee, I think is where it was, which is just across the state line, not far from me. You actually were there talking to a church about this very thing just about a month and a half ago.
Absolutely, and I want to thank you both for having me on again. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be on with you, and thank you for the kind words. And I praise God for working through me to give me wisdom and knowledge. And my mind is always a sponge. I'm always trying to absorb and learn more. And I feel that we can't grow unless we learn. So life is all about moving forward. And when, we're making God first, that's where we want and need to be. And that's where he wants and needs us to be, is moving forward at all times. It's the devil and his minions that try to drag us backward. And I have really taken a leap of faith here and become very vocal and very outspoken on this issue and this phenomena that is taking place currently. And I have received a lot of support and taken some criticism as well from people who just can't they just can't see it. Their minds just cannot go there. And I'm sorry for them, and I pray that at some point God will open their eyes. But the fact of the matter is, there is something, and I believe it's absolutely supernatural, that is taking place, and that has probably been taking place over the last several years now. It didn't come to my attention until months ago when a friend of mine sent me a video from Scotland. And as you know, I'm a very busy man, and I was ready to dismiss that and just delete the video without even looking at it. And I felt that God was urging me in my spirit to take a few minutes and look at that video. And when I did look at the video, I thought, well, I'll disprove this right now. I have 4 King James Bibles, and one is 157 years old. The other one is nearly 20 years old that travels with me all over the country. And I grabbed all the Bibles, laid them out on my desk, and compared where supposed scripture changes had taken place in the King James Bibles. And so when I started to compare, I nearly fell off of my chair. That it was true. These changes had taken place in my Bibles. The presenter made this video showing that these changes had taken place. I didn't want to believe it until I looked in my very own Bibles that are in my possession, in my home. The one travels with me all over the country, everywhere I go. And I just couldn't believe it. And I'm a man that likes to be in control of my thoughts and actions, and I always try to understand why people do and say the things that they do and say, and why things in life go the way they go. And this is something totally beyond my understanding. It is so far beyond me, and really all of us, I think, that our minds just can't go there. But it is reality. It is the truth. I have studied this ad nauseum. The scriptures have changed. They continue to change. And not only the scriptures in the King James Bible, but now in other Bibles as well, they're starting to change. Along with things in general life that are changing. And this is just so bizarre. I mean, anything from TV show titles to movie titles to lines in movies, lines in songs, business signs, geography, anatomy, all of these things have changed. And whether people know this or not, or believe it or not, or want to believe it or not, it is the truth. So I'm one of the few voices that are well-known public figures that are speaking out about this. I've contacted other pastors. I have contacted other people who are well-known, and they don't want anything to do with it. And I also contacted on several occasions now, first via email and then phone, Nelson, who is the publisher of the King James Bibles. They are a division of HarperCollins. And HarperCollins is one of the largest publishing companies in the world, and I got nowhere fast with them. The receptionist gave me over to a lady that said she was very interested in seeing the file that I have. She gave me an email address. I promptly and quickly sent attached the file to this email. Had sent it off to her, and then I got a thing back saying it was undeliverable. Tried to call back again, and the receptionist put me through to this person, and it went right to her voicemail, and I never received a call back.
Wow.
So the origin of this, they say, comes from a lady named Fiona Broom, and this all started because she had thought that Nelson Mandela had died in prison. Mm-hmm. And, of course, what was it? Was it 2015 or something that he passed or whatever? And so she was saying that, hey, wait a minute now, this man had already passed in prison, and then all of a sudden he's out of prison, and he's, passed again. And this is just not with Mandela. This is with people like Billy Graham and several other people as well. We're saying, okay, well, wait a minute, what is going on here? Mm-hmm. And not just with, well-known people passing, but again, brand names, signs, cartoons, TV shows, movies. It is a whole host of craziness, absolute craziness that is taking place here, leaving people to scratch their heads or just totally dismiss it. And in some cases, I think people are dismissing it because they just cannot go there. Their minds cannot go there and handle such a momentous thing that is so far beyond our understanding. So I think that they would rather just bury their heads in the sand. And whatever happens, happens. But it's like pulling the covers up over your head, knowing that an entity or a demon or whatever is there. And so the person pulls the cover. I did it as a child. You pull the covers up over the head, hoping that it just goes away. And that's what's taking place now. And then there are people like me who, I walk in total faith. I don't fear anything. I know that God's with me and for me. So if God's with us and for us, who can be against us? So I am just continuing to move forward, to study more and more about this phenomena. And I just shake my head on a daily basis because there are so many changes. Again, not just to the scriptures in the King James Bibles and now other Bibles, but in life in general, it's just mind-boggling.
Completely.
Well, I think. I'm sorry, Wendy. I didn't mean to step over you.
That's okay. I said all I said was completely. Although I do have a question, Bill. Does that include spiders? Are you afraid of spiders? Because I'm afraid of spiders.
I'm not crazy about them, Wendy. That's for sure. And you could throw snakes and all that kind of. I'm not a reptile guy. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. So I'm not a fan. I'm not afraid. I've had to handle a few snakes in my life, and I was not crazy about it. But let me tell you, we could make a show out of a couple instances where I had to suddenly become a snake wrangler in somebody's house, and I would have rather not have, but there was no way around it. So that's a whole other story.
You and St. Patrick.
Well, no. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's St. Bill. It's St. Bill, Luck of the Irish, St. Bill Bean. So, now, I want to play devil's advocate a little bit, especially in talking about the Mandela effect. And you and I have talked about this in depth off the show and things like that. I find it fascinating, some of the things, because there was one show where we did, actually probably the first show where you brought this up back last fall, where I actually did take two Bibles that I had in my possession at the time and compared them as we were dealing with the Mandela effect. Now, from a devil's advocate standpoint on the Mandela effect, first of all, could this not just be written off to how our minds play tricks on us?
Well, it's called confabulation.
Yes.
And, and that is the scientific term is that, people who have these false memories and swear that it was a certain way and it was never that way at all. You could go there and say, okay, so this is all one big case of confabulation, but boy, would that ever be one gigantic case of mass confabulation.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was going to be my next opinion. That was going to be my next question. Yeah, I was going to say that was going to be my next question. Mass hysteria. One person says it. One person says this is how it is. The next person believes it. that game you play at parties where you whisper something to one person, they have to whisper it, and by the time it gets to like the 10th or 11th person, it's totally misconstrued. So again, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Sitting here.
Okay, I'm going to give you a few examples, and
that's what I want.
All right, so let's start here. As a child, do you remember that, I guess it was a book, I really don't remember it that much myself, I for whatever reasons, I wasn't exposed to it that much, but the Berenstain Bears.
Yes.
Okay, so now it is Berenstein.
Mm-hmm.
So the name has been changed on that. So let me make sure I have this right, because sometimes with trying to do this, especially with these things that I'm not too familiar with, I get it backwards. But if I'm not mistaken, the correct thing, it was always Berenstein, Berenstein.
Okay.
It was always that, and now it's Berenstain.
Okay.
So now it is Stains or Stain. So it's the Berenstain Bears now, and people are just flipping out, saying, "Wait a minute now, we clearly remember this as the Berenstain Bears, and now it's Berenstain." How about? Do you remember the show? I guess, and I never saw it once, but I do remember the show being around, and I want to say it may have been around in the 90s and into the early 2000s or whatever. Sex in the City.
Yes.
I didn't watch it, but I remember
now it's
it
called
being
Sex and the City.
Oh.
Okay.
Now we know that it was. I certainly remember it as Sex in the City.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the amazing thing, Travis and Wendy, when you go and do the research on this stuff. So if there's something that has come into question, like a title like this or whatever, then I start digging, and I'm looking for anything that I can find, like an old article or something that was back from the origins of when the show or whatever it was, began. And a lot of times I'm able to find it, and it will clearly show that it was the name that I thought it was. For instance, here's another thing. The Forrest Gump movie.
Mm-hmm.
The famous line from Forrest Gump.
Life is like a box?
Said, life is like a box of chocolates, right?
Right, right.
It doesn't say that anymore. He says his mama said life was like a box of chocolates.
Okay.
Interesting.
And for anyone who would doubt this, I urge you right now to go online, go on your phone, computer, whatever, and punch this up, and you'll see it for yourself. Now, we know that was such a huge movie, and that line was, out of there was so huge, and how many times has that been repeated over and over and over again? And now all of a sudden, it's life was like a box of chocolates. Now, how about you guys remember Mr. Rogers, right?
Not that much.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I was never particularly fond of Mr. Rogers or Sesame Street growing up. I know that makes me anti-American.
But the song, you remember the song? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How could we forget that, right? Even if we didn't, I didn't watch him either, but I sure remember that song. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, right?
Right.
Yep.
Not anymore. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. And if you punch up, go on YouTube or wherever you want to go, punch it in, Mr. Rogers' theme song. It will now come up. It is a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
Okay.
Maybe his neighborhood was a victim of urban sprawl.
Okay, got another one for you.
It's a demilitarized zone. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The mirror thing. What was that? The Snow
Mirror
White,
on the
or what
wall.
was that?
Who's the fairest of them all? Yes, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all?
Mm-hmm.
When do you remember that? Right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It doesn't
no,
say
it's
that anymore.
who's the fairest of them all. Yeah.
Who's
Now it says magic mirror on the wall. It does not say mirror on the wall anymore. It says magic mirror on the wall.
Wow.
okay?
Now again, for anyone out there who thinks that I'm a madman or I'm making this up, punch it in right now. Punch it in and it'll come up and you will see that it says magic mirror on the wall.
Listeners in chat, what do you remember?
Okay,
How
Wendy's
bizarre. I mean,
polling.
yeah, great.
Yeah.
Hey, I want people to wake up. I want people to do research into this. Don't take my word for it. Do the research. See it for yourself. And boy, I'll tell you, you're going to be astounded when you see these things for yourself.
Okay, well, again, I'm going to play devil's advocate. And Bill may hate me after I keep doing this. And I'm not.
I don't hate you.
I'm doing this for a reason
I do.
because I shut up, Wendy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, the reason I'm doing this is because I don't want people to think that you have not done your research. I don't want them to think that you're just coming on spouting off,
No.
theories and hollow thoughts and hollow impressions.
Not at all.
I want them to know that you've done your research. I secondly don't want them to think that we are a platform for wild, unfounded theories, because we're not. Exactly. You know, my journalistic training, my broadcast training, that media background makes me want to be objective anytime something like this comes up. So you're talking now movie quotes. Now, I know for a fact I love movies. I quote movies all the time. And I am guilty of misquoting movies. I am guilty of quoting what I think I heard, or I'm guilty of, in our mind, we paraphrase. So a lot of what we're talking about right now could be written off to memory and to paraphrasing. And there's not even dealing with the Mandela effect, but there are all kinds of websites out there that deal with misquoted famous lines from movies that people think that they remember and that they think they know. And that we confuse them many times, and we take them from one movie, and it's like, one of those more well known is the line from Star Wars with Luke and Darth Vader. And Darth Vader. It's not I am your father. It's what we perceive, what we walk away with. There's these subtle differences many times. So that could be one thing that we're dealing with here. But you have even more concrete examples of things visually. We're talking logos from cereal boxes. I know we've talked about that, and household cleaning items and things like that. But at the root of it, what we're dealing with here is a change in reality, regardless of the source or how it's happening. Our entire history is being rewritten.
It sure seems that way. And I'll tell you, again, for anyone who thinks that this is craziness or whatever, just go and do the research for yourself. Look at these. Look at it. And Travis just brought up, about product names and all. I mean, I was astounded to see that Febreze, which was, I think, spelled Febreeze, is now spelled with one E. They dropped an E in that. Why? Chick-fil-A never had a K behind the C. It does now. Why? I mean, are they spending millions of dollars to change their logos for what? Why? To, have these little subtle things? Is this just a mass mind-op? Or is there something more sinister at work here? And again, this is leading to confusion. It's also leading to division, because when some people hear me talk about this, they go and do the research and they see it for themselves, and they're freaked out, but they absolutely see it, and they see it as truth. But there are some people, others, that say, no way, especially when it comes to the scriptures being altered. And they say, no way, you're trying to trick my mind, or the devil's trying to trick my mind, and no way, and they just can't and won't go there. So this leads to confusion and division.
Mm-hmm.
And the devil is in the details, I'm telling you right now, because he is the author of division and confusion.
Yes.
So that's what's taking place now. All I can do, as someone that God has called to help people, all I could do is just continue to report what I believe is the truth, and then people can go and find out for themselves and verify it for themselves. Mm-hmm. And so that's all I can do, and that's what I'll continue to do. But when it comes to, all these products, and I could go on and on and on with the movie stuff and some songs. Pete Townsend of The Who. You guys remember him, right?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Can you spell his last name for me?
Townsend.
Indeed. Townsend.
That's the way it used to be spelled. Now he's got an H in there, so now it's Pete Townshend.
Townsend, okay.
Interesting.
Okay. I mean, it's craziness like this. It just makes no sense at all. How can this be? But yet, there it is, and if you punch it up right now, you will see that there's an H added to his name.
Okay, now, again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm going to throw out something, and this is very real. My last name is Short, spelled with 2 T's, as is my father. My grandfather is spelled with 1 T. There was a mistake on my father's birth certificate. When my father was born, the doctor added an extra T to the name.
Okay.
That's my grandfather is Short with 1 T. My dad and I, and of course my brother, and now my children are Short with 2 T's. So, I mean, we could say that could, maybe all of a sudden Townsend said, you know what, I'm tired of running, like for example, when I was in college, in college, they call you by your first name. My first name is Rodney. I don't go by Rodney. Mm-hmm. Rodney is my father's name. I'm Rodney Travis Short. My dad's name is Rodney Allen. I'm not a junior. But through most of my school, from elementary and high school and even into college, I was Rodney because that was my first name. And my Social Security card has Rodney Travis Short, but all of my legal documentation is Rodney T. Short. My middle name was never spelled out. It's Rodney T. Short. It was when I was in college that I actually changed that to where that I sign everything R, period, Travis Short. So it's R, Rodney's abbreviated as Travis Short. So, I mean, the Townsend thing, we could explain away. We could. I get what you're saying. I do. And I believe what you're saying because you and I have talked about this. I have looked at the same evidence that
we're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah.
It's vast.
All I'm doing,
it's just unfathomable. And everything that you're saying is coming from a very sensible, reasonable place. And certainly any human being that would try and reason and try and understand this would be coming from such a place to try and better understand what in the world is going on here. But, there are people out there, like my friend Chris out there in L.A. that has made a series of videos on this and on all the changes and the scripture changes as well. He contacted me and he said, I want you to know that you are one of the few well-known people that are out there speaking on this. And he says, he applauded me for having the courage to do so, but he has been compiling quite a list over the last couple of years. And I'm going to be going to L.A. in the future to make a video with him. And it's impressive. It really is what he's come up with. Just the amount of study that he has put in. And I just, again, thank God for having some people to be awake to be able to see these types of changes and then to say, hey, wait a minute, something is definitely amiss here. Something is very, very wrong. And how can this be? We don't know how it can be. I mean, we have, I have my opinion on how this can be happening, but even stating this, which I believe that it is the CERN device, which is under the ground in Switzerland, combined with T-wave quantum computers, I say this, but I don't have any true understanding. I've read about, how those devices work, but again, without being personally there, without being, right there to report on it, and even if I were right there, I still wouldn't understand what in the heck it was doing. But I strongly believe, based on the research that I put into this, and other people as well, including Chris, that the CERN device has the capabilities to open up portals, dimensional doorways, and in doing so, it is allowing other, which I believe, demonic forces to be loosed and come on the earth. This is why so many people now are being affected by demonic influence and activity. And working in conjunction with that is the D-Wave quantum computers. And they, according to, some research that I've done, have the ability and capabilities to literally turn back time. So if, in fact, this is true, that these two things are working in concert with each other, then this certainly would explain how there is such a capability to manipulate time and space and to be able to make these types of changes. And again, for me, the devil is in the details, because obviously it all comes back to the devil and evil and negativity, because it is creating confusion, division, and it could create chaos as well if this, if this continues to expand and go further.
And I want to come back to that. I want to talk about CERN, and I want to talk about the doorways and alternate realities. But Wendy actually, I believe, has a question from the listeners tonight.
I do. They're asking what you may know, Bill, about rumors about Procter and Gamble inserting different like satanic symbols into their logos and commercials, and being affiliated with that way. He says he doesn't know much about it, but it's been brought to his attention before. He wanted to get your take on it.
Well, it's not just Procter and Gamble, and yes, I do agree with that, and I have researched that. I do believe it is true. It's not just Procter and Gamble. There are, and again, this sounds like crazy talk, but I urge those who are listening, those who are in the chat, to do the research for yourselves, and you'll see it for yourselves. Our whole world now, and I've known this for quite some time, and I've talked with Travis about this before and others, our whole world is ensnared by the beast system, and there are satanic symbols on many of the products that we buy nowadays, and many of the or not many, but some of the clothing that people wear. I wouldn't dare. I'd burn it before I put it on me, but some of that like Rockaware and all that kind of stuff, it is all satanic. I saw a picture recently of a young man that had one of those types of shirts on, and going down the sleeve, it had a Baphomet, it had a pentagram, it had a satanic cross. It had all this going down the sleeve, and these kids, our kids, are wearing these things to schools, to social events. They don't know. And God says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. The Monster energy drink. And boy, some people, when they study it, they say, oh, wow, I see what you're saying. Other people say you're crazy. It's just a symbol, a logo on an energy drink. Are you nuts? But if you research it, the three things on the Monster energy drink, people would say, oh, those claw-looking things there. You guys understand what I'm saying, right? The logo on the Monster energy drink. They are Hebrew. Go research this. I think they're called Vavs, Hebrew Vavs. They stand for 6. So each one of those things on that Monster energy drink, the numerical value of that Hebrew Vav is 6. So you have 666 on that can of Monster. Now, you don't have to take my word for this, but I'm urging everyone to go and do this research, and you will be astounded to see what we are living in, how the enemy is working through corporations to ensnare us and to be able to invoke his power in this way. Now, God is allowing this, and God is allowing this for a short time, because he wants to see who is in faith, who is making him first, who is going to stand tall and strong when faced with this kind of opposition and adversity. Mm-hmm. And so this ties in with how we're being sprayed on a daily basis by these chemtrails. Now, this isn't fantasy, this is fact, and they're finally starting to come out with this and admit that they are spraying our skies. They've been doing so ever since the HARP device began, which that originated out of Galcona, Alaska, in 1996. And now I've read that there are 37 or more of these types of installations all around the world. There's one here on the East Coast in Long Island, New York. These things have the ability to manipulate weather and create tsunamis and tornadoes and a variety of things. And again, for people who think that this is crazy talk, go do the research. You'll see it.
It's there.
So that was the first major thing. And so they started with these chemtrails in conjunction with that. So they have been spraying our skies on a regular basis since 1996. And some people will say, oh, well, I see planes that have that, that contrail behind them. And, okay, here's the difference. If you see an airplane going across the sky and they have a contrail behind it, within, I would say, probably seconds, you could probably count in under a minute, that contrail would be gone. It would be a very thin contrail and behind the plane, and it would be gone within before a minute. The chemtrails, when these planes or whatever they are, I'm not even convinced that some of these things are planes, when they come into our skies, they are leaving massive trails behind them. Mm-hmm. And those trails don't go away. And what they do is they fan out. And then more, whatever they are, if they're planes or whatever the crafts are, they come behind it and they layer over top of it. And I want all of you to take a good look. Very seldom do we ever have a day anymore that you could say, wow, there's not a cloud in the sky, because these, whomever they are spraying our skies daily.
Mm-hmm.
Another question is if we don't know what these symbols are, how can they affect us? And I kind of look at that same way, like it almost has to be an intent in your mind. If you don't know what the symbol is, you're probably safe. But if you do know what it is and you wear it anyway, well, that's intent. And then you're kind of, you're playing with your fate there.
Exactly right. So for someone like me who does this research and study,
right,
I couldn't go there, because if I did, well, you're exactly right. That's intent. I know what it is. And so now I am, willingly, knowingly participating in something that is against God.
Right. Okay.
And inviting danger into your life.
No question. No question about it. So, again, for me, I always have to be on the move. I'm at my best when I have 20 different things going on, and often I do have 20 different things going on.
Right.
But that is how I function. That is how God has created me, and that's when I'm at my best. So I always have to be moving forward. I always have to be seeking and thirsting for knowledge. And so my whole life, especially now in this calling that God has put on my life as a spiritual warrior, I have to seek the truth so I know the truth, so I can speak the truth, so I can teach the truth.
There we go.
The truth is the truth, and there is no substitute for it.
Had another question earlier, and I don't know that it fits in right now, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it before I forget. It's with all of the violence, all of the badness, and kind of like the deck is being stacked against us. What can you offer for hope?
What I can offer is tremendous faith, because I know that God is real. I know that God created everything. I know that God loves us, and I know that God's with us, and I know that God's for us. But that said, God also gave us free will. So in giving us free will, I feel he had to create an adversary to man. So when he created the devil, which, you know, I differ from traditional Christian teachings. And again, I praise God for guiding me in wisdom and knowledge. And I believe that Jesus, which Hebrew name is Yeshua, which in my opinion and belief was and is the Melchizedek, which is the high priest to God. And so the Melchizedek was created by Yahweh from the beginning of creation. He may have created him first or second, because maybe the first created being was the devil himself, Hasatan, which was supposed to be the choir director in heaven, in charge of the praise and worship music. He was created with pipes in him, according to the scriptures. And his function, and he was a beautiful creature, according to the scriptures, you know, adorned with jewels, and he was, you know, just a prize, just a magnificent masterpiece creation by Yahweh. And he was created for Yahweh, to praise him. But I have to believe now, our God, who is the creator of all things, certainly knew that this created being would end up turning due to jealousy and become the adversary to man. And so if, in fact, that's true, this turn probably took place. This is why I think he was created first, because I think after that, Yahweh created the Melchizedek, Yeshua, Jesus the Christ, and then there was jealousy, and the jealousy had taken place from Hasatan towards him, and this caused the rebellion, and so Hasatan went on to be the adversary to man. And again, which I believe is totally necessary because of the free will that God has given us. We're free to make choices. So God delights when we choose to make him first. And am I perfect? Absolutely not. I could, you know, sit here all night long and tell you about the mistakes that I've made in life, and I would never claim to be perfect or anything like that. But I can assure you of this, that I try to do the best that I can do and be the best that I can be each and every day. And so God has put this higher calling on me. So I have to be somebody for somebody each and every day of my life. So that means I have to be at my best. And so in saying that, I must remain in strong faith in order to be at my best. So I know that no matter what the situation is, God makes the impossible possible. And believe me, this situation taking place in the world right now could get much worse. I mean, it's really bad now, but it can get worse. And I do believe it is getting worse on a regular basis. And this is where we are really, really going to have to turn to God and really have true faith in knowing that God will keep us in his hedge of protection, and he will keep all harm from us. And I just pray for those that don't have that kind of faith, because we are really going to need it for these things that are here and these things that are coming. Some men's hearts are going to fail them, that's for sure. And we have another thing that works in conjunction with this now. I know you're both familiar with the Pizzagate, you know, the gigantic pedophile network, and it's not just in America, it is worldwide. And this wicked, heinous filth goes all the way up to the top. And what they're doing, and I believe that this is on instruction from the devil himself, that they have to do these types of wicked, heinous acts, and they've been doing it for a long time, but they've really increased it now over the last, I would say probably over the last 2 years. There's been a tremendous increase in this. They're doing this as offerings, blood offerings to the devil. And this is based on the teachings of one of the most wicked individuals that ever walked the face of this earth, Aleister Crowley. Mm-hmm. And there is a woman who is the Pied Piper for Aleister Crowley right now. Her name is Marina Abramovic. And this woman is revered. She's revered by the politicians, Hillary Clinton and Podesta and people like this, and I'm sure many others. She is revered by movie stars. She is revered by the singers and the pop singers and the rock and rappers, all of these. I mean, this woman is in so many circles. And they are not only seeking her out, but I believe now that the higher-ups, the masters of these people, are actually sending these stars to her for indoctrination. And why do I say that? Well, I say again, punch this woman's name. Do a search on this woman. Her name is Marina, Marina, Abramovic, Abramovic. Punch her name into Google and punch in Marina Abramovic spirit cooking. This woman, again, following the teachings of Aleister Crowley, has these events now, and all these stars attend. And it is disgusting. It is vile. They are showing what appears to be bodies, and they're not real bodies, but they are in these vats of what looks like blood. And these stars come out to these dinners, and they literally are served their meals by cutting into these bodies and getting the contents out of these, I don't know if they're rubber, plastic, whatever they are, these types of bodies that look like real humans laying there, but I don't think that, for 1 second that they're real human beings, at least not in public. But they are being cut open, and dinner is served through these types of things. Now, what are we seeing? What are we doing? What are these people participating in? This is absolute cannibalism. And these are blood rituals and sacrifices to the devil.
Now, when you say that this is cannibalism, are they? I mean, you say that these bodies are not real, not that you can ascertain. Are we talking like a psychic cannibalism? Are these effigies that they are ingesting? Effigies.
Yeah. So the contents in them, I guess that's some type of meat or something. So what they do, I'll have to send you videos on this. You just won't believe your eyes. You will not believe your eyes that some of today's stars were videoed at these parties. She recently had one in L.A. I think that thousands of people came. All the big shots, they all came. And so they are sitting at these round tables. And when these people, these stars and politicians and everybody came to the events, they put the white hospital coats on them over top of their suits and dresses and all that. They all sat down at these tables, and these bodies were brought to the tables, and then they were cut into. So they were cut into, and then the meals were served to them through the contents of whatever that was inside of those bodies, and those people ate that. this is something that's right out of a horror film, but I assure you that
Yeah.
this is real. And you can see the videos for yourself, and these people are doing it. Katy Perry just came out with a video called Bon Appetit. And I watched that, and my mouth was just open. Now, Katy Perry, again, her dad is a pastor, and he's saying very often now, please pray for my daughter. And Katy Perry is eyeball deep into all of this now. And she made this video on spirit cooking and her in this vat being cooked and then served. So this is all part of an agenda. This is absolutely tied into the Pedogate, Pizzagate, whatever you want to call it, which is going up to the highest levels of some of the highest people on this earth. And this is all following practices of blood sacrifices, sex magic, and these types of things to gain money, power, and status. These people, these entertainers, they already have the fame, but they can never get enough of money and power and status, and that goes for the elites as well. The politicians and even athletes. There's athletes that are participating in this, and it's just it's incredible. It's mind-boggling. It's disturbing to the highest level, but it is reality. And people better wake up and see what's going on and be mindful of who you're watching, who you're listening to, what you're taking in. I made a posting on one of my Facebook pages about this new Katy Perry video, and a lot of people watched it, and they said, wow, I see what you're talking about. We agree. This is vile. But there were actually some people that said, I don't see anything wrong with it at all. What's wrong with it? She's an entertainer. She's made a video and a song. They just can't see it.
Yeah. I did a quick Google search on it, and spirit cooking anyway, and that was enough. There's disclaimers on all of it that it's disgusting. I didn't have to read any further.
You see it for yourself, Wendy.
Mm-hmm.
You see it for yourself. I'm not making this up. I'm not.
No, I know you're not.
Anything.
Well, I don't have to look at it, but I looked it up, and it is a thing.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
One scene cannot be unseen, except for my dinner, which would regurgitate.
And furthermore, can you imagine now, and I hate to even speculate on this, but my gut feeling tells me that, they are presenting these orifices or whatever you want to call them in public, these mock supposed human bodies. But can you imagine what they're doing at these private parties? I wouldn't doubt for a second that it's real bodies in there that they are, and I hate to say it, and it makes me sick to even say it, but I see, and believe me, the amount of research that I've done into things, I have no doubt about that for 1 second, that they are really doing some even more wicked and heinous things behind the scenes.
Sick.
So again, these people are doing this as part of an invocation. These are blood rituals. These are sex magic practices. This is all to appease the devil. And in return, like this Morena, she is 70 years old, and she is the originator of those. Didn't you hear the craze going on through Hollywood with this Kim Kardashian and Jennifer Lopez and all these gang? They get these what they call vampire facials. They bathe in blood, and this supposedly makes their skin nice and all this stuff. And it comes straight from this woman and what they're doing, which comes straight from Aleister Crowley.
Well, that's what Elizabeth Bathory did back in the...
Lady Bathory, yes.
Right, back in the, 1600s?
1600s, bathed in virgin's blood, kept herself young looking. So, yeah.
One of the original
what
vampires.
Morena does, good old Morena puts a twist on this. There's a video of her, and I warn you, for anyone who would want to see this, I mean, I'll tell you, I've got a very strong stomach. I never get ill, but I'll tell you one thing. It made me feel ill just looking at this, I don't even know what to call her, individual. In the video, this Morena woman, she had a mixture of what she called, it sure looked like human blood to me, but what do I know? How can you tell human blood from pig blood? She said this. She had this big vat. It was like this thing she was carrying around and dumping into this plastic container thing of what she called pig's blood, a woman's menstrual cycle, breast milk, and sperm. And so she had this nice mixture, and she was literally using this to paint invocations on the walls. And then she had this little statue that looked like I don't know if it was a little boy or what it was in the corner, and she took that blood and threw it all over it. It splattered everywhere. And this woman calls herself a performance artist, and it was one of the more wicked, vile, and disgusting things. And I wouldn't recommend that anybody watch it, other than maybe to watch a second just to verify what I'm saying. It is beyond disgusting. And there are people in high places that are following this woman. They revere her. They are following her every move, and they're following her instructions, and they are doing great wickedness now before God.
And there you are. Good before dinner, good appetizer conversation.
I've had dinner. Thank you very much. It's 10:30 my time.
Yeah, I hope I don't see it again.
And I'm sorry to bring this up. I'm sorry to bring it up.
Okay.
I mean, it's absolutely horrible, but
it needs to
this
be
is
out
reality.
there.
This is what we're living in.
Well, Wendy said this is reality, and I find that very interesting, especially on the tail end of the Mandela effect, and how our reality is being shaped, Bill.
Right.
Or being reshaped, because our reality, what is real to us, is being reshaped into a much more nefarious, evil type of reality. One of the things that you had mentioned early on was, how, and actually Wendy had mentioned it, the question from the chat room, things are getting so progressively worse. What is the hope?
Oh, the hope again. These things are happening, and they have to happen, because there's going to be great purging on the earth, and the day is going to come, and I believe it's coming sooner than later, that God is going to have an answer for all this. And all these people who are doing what they're doing, and they think they're so mighty and powerful and just in such control, they are going to be brought to their knees. God is going to have a great purging on this earth, and they are going to know who God really is. They think they're gods right now, and this is what the devil does. He infiltrates behind the scenes, and so many people on our earth are followers. So most of the people on our earth are followers. There's very few leaders, and there's very few good leaders. So that said, most of the people follow along with everything, and so you get these things that we have right now where people are just being led so wrong in so many different ways. And then it's part of what's called social engineering. So you can institute and instill these ideals and these new ways about how things should be, and that becomes a new reality. So God created everything, and I believe that He is a God of order. He is a God of cleanliness. He has an order to all things. The enemy is just the opposite, because he wants to do opposite of what God does. So he is disorder. He is chaos. He is unclean. So this is why Crowley in his book said, a man must learn to talk backwards and walk backwards and do everything backwards, because that is in opposition to God. God when we're with God and we're blessed and things are good and positive, we're moving forward. So we as human beings, we operate on frequency and vibration. So if our frequency and vibration is high, life is generally good. We're in the positive, things are good, things are positive, we are moving forward. But if we're on low frequency, low vibration, life sucks. It's like a black cloud is over somebody's head. Nothing goes right. Nothing ever will go right. And that is low frequency, low vibration. So that's what the enemy tries to do. That's where the devil is. He's right there on low. And he wants people to be right there on low. So again, if we're on high frequency, we're moving forward. The devil is on low frequency and wants us to be on low frequency, so we stay right there so he can drag us backward. So it's all in opposition to God. So the end game in this whole thing, and people really need to step outside of all this and see it for what it is. The end game is they want, and the time is coming sooner than later, they want man to merge with machine. So this is the transhumanism. So it started with, and again, what I'm about to say, I love all people. I don't have any axe to grind with anybody. But I do oppose agendas. And right now, two of the bigger agendas in our country is homosexuality and transgender. And so, look, people are who they are and they choose to be or whatever it is. That's great, fine. I love everybody. But you don't have to shove that down anybody's throats either. And that's what I feel is taking place, to where these agendas are in the forefront now. And so this becomes like a social engineering type of thing, because now you have young children that say they don't want to be a boy anymore, they want to be a girl, and vice versa. So the enemy, again, is in the details of this. And the end game is that if you can get people to change like that, then you can lead them to want to be merged with a machine. And the way they're going to get everybody to take the mark of the beast, I'm convinced of this, is that they will start this massive marketing saying, if you take this chip, you will become immortal. You'll never die. You'll never be sick again, because you will be merged with the D-Wave computers, and you are going to be a god. And watch it, see. If what I'm saying here turns out to be true, watch and see how many millions of people line up to take this. They will stand in line for God. Look at when the iPhones first came out. People stood in line to get those phones. So what makes you think they won't stand in line if they're told that they're going to become immortal if they take a chip and merge, with these computers? The lines will be endless, and they will eat it up like candy. And this is the way the devil is going to get people to take the mark of the beast.
Now, I want to go back for just a second, Bill, and I want to address something that we were talking about as far as the Mandela effect. Mm-hmm. And CERN and the Hadron Collider there in Switzerland and the chemtrails, and kind of draw a quick connection here. And then I want to talk about Dark Force. We have about 30 minutes left of the show. I want to kind of give folks who are listening tonight, because we do have a lot of new listeners on this particular platform that haven't listened to us before, and I kind of want to give them an idea of who Bill Bean is and what made you the man that you are today. But we were talking about CERN, and we were talking about the Mandela effect and these changes in reality, these subtle differences, and talking about opening portals to other dimensions. Well, if folks don't know what CERN does, the Large Hadron Collider was actually created with basically one purpose, and that was to try to recreate the moment of creation, whether you want to call that God creating, in the beginning God said, or whether you want to talk about the Big Bang Theory. And what that Hadron Collider does is it actually creates dark matter. antimatter, basically, and that you have these protons and atoms that they are sending at one another at the speed of light, and they collide. And on a very, very small scale, they are recreating what they believe to be the moment of creation. Now, is it not possible, or is it not a plausible theory that what is happening every time they are impacting those atoms and those protons and those neutrons, and they are, in their minds, again, whether you want to talk evolution and the Big Bang, you want to talk about God saying let there be light, and in the beginning God said, they are creating, they might be creating, they could be creating multiple moments of realities.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree.
And therefore, that is changing our reality. At the same time, is it not possible they, as you mentioned, they are opening portals to other dimensions, other worlds,
no question about it,
allowing other entities. I'm not going to say demons. I'm not going to say aliens. I'm going to say entities. I prefer that term when talking about the paranormal because it doesn't have the stigma of all of the others. Mm-hmm. Although you and I know what we're talking about, these entities to come into our world, in the long run, what these subtle changes to names on books and quotes from movies and even passages in the Bible, in the long run, on the big picture, what, again, devil's advocate, really what is that doing to our reality? Is it really changing anything? Or is it setting us up for something bigger and much more nefarious in the future?
Bingo. Yes, there you have it. It's setting up for the end game. And I really believe by what I'm studying, what I'm seeing, what I'm living every day in seeing it in people around me. And let me tell you, you know this, no one is exempt from having these types of demonic attacks. I'm more busy now than ever. I'm being contacted by high-profile people now. And you just wouldn't believe some of the people and their status and where they've been and what they do, yet are coming under attack from these demonic forces. So, yeah, it goes right back to what I was saying earlier, that the end game in this is to get people to take that chip, which I absolutely believe will be the mark of the beast, and they are going to just promote it in a way to where people are going to line up for it, and they are going to just look at people like me and say, "You're crazy. Are you out of your mind? This is the greatest thing ever to come to mankind, and you're opposing this. Are you nuts?" And they're going to line up, and they're going to take it like candy. And I pray for those people. I really do. I pray that God brings wisdom and discernment. And this is really what I say to everybody now that's listening in or in the chat room or whatever. Don't take my word for anything, but I am urging you, step outside of yourselves, step outside of your daily life and routine, and really take a look at what is going on in our world, in this reality that I believe is being engineered, artificially engineered now as part of this social engineering. And think about this too. All the fads that come along, you know, they put these things, there are think tanks like the Brookings Institute and places like this where they get the best and the brightest minds that just come out of college, and they want to assemble all these think tanks. They've been doing it for years. And how do we introduce the latest crazes and fads to the masses of people? This is what they do. And these types of things come along quite often, and you say, how in the world did that get started? And then bang, you know, it's something that it gets introduced into the populace, and everybody follows along with it, and it becomes a big craze. How many times have we seen this?
Many, many times.
So I'm challenging everybody out there to stop being a follower, open your eyes, start doing some research, become a leader. And the only way you're going to become a leader is to really connect with God. And I'm not beating anybody over the head with the Bible. I'm saying this is truth, that when we make a real connection with God, and church starts from within. It's great if you want to go to church and gather and assemble and worship our glorious God with others. That's wonderful. But if you're going to church just to say, oh, I go to church, and there's no blessing on that. You can go to church 24/7, but if you don't have that real relationship with God, then you're wasting your time. So I urge people, step outside of yourselves, step outside of your normal, everyday way of life.
Comfort
Listen
zone.
to what I'm saying, and start to do some studies and research.
Now, I want to go back again to CERN and DARPA. We haven't really discussed DARPA, and we've talked a little bit about the chemtrails, and we've talked about there have been all of these weird sounds that people hear. Many people all across the world, people are hearing things sounding like trumpets, or they're hearing high-pitched frequencies. We have people experiencing headaches and nosebleeds, things like that. DARPA is one of those organizations that you have talked about briefly on this show, but it kind of ties in with CERN, it ties in with UFOs, it ties in with a lot of government conspiracies, worldwide government conspiracies that are, as we've talked about in this particular show, setting the stage for an end game, as you have said. But let's talk DARPA for just a second.
Well, I mean, they have $2 billion a year budget. I mean, what does that tell you right there? These people have $2 billion a year coming in to do whatever they want to do, and it's rumored that they are trying to create these super soldiers, which I can believe, because even now in our workplaces there are robots. So they've just started testing this out in warehouses and manufacturing facilities, to where they will have a human supervising a group of robots that can walk, that can bend, that can lift. So these are production worker robots that are under the supervision of one. And so we're starting to see this already. And a lady was recently killed, I think in Massachusetts, when one of these robots just suddenly grabbed her, and I don't know if it thought it was grabbing a box or whatever, but killed her, grabbed her head and put so much pressure that it killed her. And so this is very, very dangerous. What in the world? I feel the more technologically advanced we become, the worse off we are, the more we regress as human beings. There are things now that, look at what is that called? The Facebook Live thing or something like that.
Right,
so
yeah.
If a person is doing like a show or something and they're doing a Facebook Live, they have some way of seeing the people who are listening in or watching the program. So they can actually see the people that are a part of their program. I mean, this is dangerous, dangerous stuff. And they are going to, I was just reading this a couple of days ago, that they have plans on when you get into their, I guess when you log on or whatever, there's going to be some sort of interaction, a way that they can literally read your thoughts, and in reading your thoughts, then you can think certain things and I guess change the page or go to a different message or whatever it is, or through your thoughts can literally answer messages. I mean, this is scary sci-fi kind of coming to reality stuff. And I mean, this is, never do I want to be a part of that. Never do I ever want that in my life. And they can proclaim this as the greatest thing going. It wouldn't be for me. And so, I'm warning people against these technologies, these so-called great breakthroughs that could be so beneficial. And what it does, it makes us less productive as human beings, because now we're going to rely on this technology to do things for us.
Mm-hmm.
This is scary stuff.
It is. It is. I actually just finished reading one of Nick Redfern's books, Immortality of the Gods, where he talks about man's quest for immortality. And there's actually, I believe the gentleman's Russian. His last name is Kurzweil. And he has proposed what he calls the something that will take place by 2045, which he calls the singularity, where that mankind will actually reach the point, very much like the Matrix trilogy, where that we actually upload our consciousness into technology so that we can live forever.
Travis, I hear they're already doing it now. I mean, I've read about a couple of people that have recently passed that were elites that have done this very thing. And again, is it true? I don't know, but I've certainly read about this, and I believe it.
Well, and when you look at the way that technology has advanced, literally just in the past 70 years,
the leap,
the leap forward, it has been quantum. I mean, we've gone from steam railroad to levitating railroad cars on magnetic tracks. We've gone from multi-engine propelled planes to the 747s and the 777s and the 767s and the space shuttle, and all. I mean, the technology has leaped forward so dramatically, and then in what we're able to have in our hands, cell phones that connect us to the world, laptops that literally a computer that once was housed in 2 rooms of a building is now sitting on, quite frankly, sitting in your hand with your smartphone, but, definitely sitting on your desk or on your nightstand at home. So the technology has advanced so drastically in the past 70 years. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, we've talked a lot tonight, and we talked about a lot of subjects, and we've gone in a lot of directions as we wanted to do. But I want to bring it back. I want to kind of refocus and come back to that moment, that event in your life that made you the person that you are, Bill being the spirit warrior or the spiritual warrior. Dark Force is a book that you released about 10 years ago, 2007, 2008. You and I are trying to figure out if this is the 10th anniversary or the 11th anniversary. We're thinking it's the 10th. We're thinking that you finished the book and actually released it in its first iteration in 2007. So this is the 10th anniversary of Dark Force. This chronicles your family and their experiences with the supernatural, and this is really what made you the man and the minister that you are today. So I want to spend, we've got about 15 minutes left in the show, and I want to spend that little bit of time just kind of talking about that event and how that event, what actually happened, how it happened, because all of that was very supernatural. There were all these elements. There were UFOs, there were ghosts, there were demons, there were all of these things that we've been talking about.
The whole cavalcade of it. And I think, Travis, this is what really laid the groundwork for where I'm at right now. And, I've said a million times that I couldn't be where I'm at right now had I not been there. So it was all necessary as part of the journey to learn is to grow. And also for those who are called to do greater things, and no man is better than another. I feel that, we are certainly all equal and nobody's better than anybody else. However, God does put greater callings on some people. And the ones who have the greater callings in life suffer the most. And so it was through great adversity and torment and pain and suffering, and especially when it comes to my mother, who suffered more than any other person I've ever seen in my life. So all those things, my life started out with me being a victim as my family was greatly affected and ultimately destroyed by demonic forces that were among us in in a home in Glen Burnie, Maryland, and but it really goes much further back than that. After I'd written Dark Force, I found out that my mother had paranormal, supernatural experiences in her childhood as well, and so this was a continuation for her and other family members that it just carried on. But I do believe that my family was led to that house where evil was already present and manifested by the dark forces that were conjured up by other family members many, many years ago. And so they worked in tandem to create havoc and destruction. And I have been back to that area on several occasions as a deliverance minister, spiritual warrior, and I would go back, to that house. If whomever is living there called me to help, you better believe I would go and help. And I wish that I knew then what I know now. I wish that I could change some things, especially when it comes to the suffering of my mother, but I can't change it, and so I just have to move on and move forward. And so in being that little boy that was so traumatized for so long, I mean, it was so bad that as a child, I can recall that if it were just my mom and I in the house together, if she had to use the bathroom, I'd wait outside the door until she came out. I mean, that's how bad it was. That was the level of fear and trauma that took place on a regular basis in that home for many, many years. And so I started my life being a victim, being tormented and tortured by these dark forces for so long. And then one day, in 1979, at the age of 13, that all changed. And this took place after seeing my mother picked up by an invisible force and thrown through the air. And she landed into her makeup table, and in her bedroom, and she was cut open and scratched and bruised. And as a 13-year-old boy, I mean, I was just, again, after being tortured and tormented and abused for so long, something just snapped inside of me on that day. And I took action, and I engaged in spiritual warfare against these demons. And it was like a scene from a horror film. And the house began to vibrate and shake. Things were falling off the walls. I was 13. I had 5 adults with me, including my mother, who had just been attacked. And they were all terrified. And I was not. I was fierce. I was enraged. I didn't care about anything. I was on the attack. And I praise God for working through me on that day, but I made mistakes in that as well, because this all came on the heels of a lengthy discussion that I had with my uncle Clifford, who lives in Florida, and my brother and I had gone to visit him. Actually, had gone to visit my father, who had left home when I was 9 years old, and I very much hated my father for a long time, but I went with my brother for this visit, and I had no idea that this would be a turning point in my life, because my uncle, who is still with us, he's in his 80s, devout Christian, and we had a lengthy discussion about how I could take power and authority over this by the mighty power of God in Jesus' name. And I didn't know this because my family, my parents believed in God, but we didn't have any faith-based background at all. We had never had attended church as children. We were never baptized or anything like that. So after learning that information, I became empowered. So that was the real tipping point for the transformation that took place in my life. That was the beginning. And though I didn't do things exactly right on that day, I had that holy anger which held the evil forces at bay after that, on that day. However, I didn't go about it in the right way in binding and casting them out. So if I knew then what I know now, it would have been a different story. But, that was then, this is now. And so I'm forever grateful to God for making that connection with my Uncle Cliff to where we could talk about those things, and he shared that wisdom with me and that blessed information, because those were the building blocks for me in shaping me into the man I am today, in being a spiritual warrior for God. So that was the first battle that I engaged in with those demonic forces. And I really believe that God was looking to see if I could be that man that he could work through in helping people. And certainly that's what's taking place now. So as I had progressed into my teen years and in my adult years, I made many mistakes. My mother had died when I was very young, and she died 2 months after my grandmother. They were the two closest people to me in my life. They were suddenly gone. I had to quit school in the 8th grade. I quit school in the 8th grade, lied about my age. I went to work for a construction company, and that really turned me into a very strong and hard-nosed young man. I grew up on the streets. I hung out with the worst of the worst people, and most of those people, I'm sorry to say, are either dead or in prison now. And I could have very easily have been there as well. But God had a different plan for me, and it wasn't until I decided that I was going to change my life and commit my life to God and have that real connection and allow God to work through me that the transformation took place in me being this spiritual warrior and helping people. So it is just, Travis has been there from the beginning of this journey of going out all over the country and helping people. And it's just amazing. It's a miracle in itself, because I had no intentions of anything like this. But God's plan for me and my plan was totally different. And I can never thank him and praise him enough for what he's done, for what he's doing, and for what he's going to do.
Well, it has been, I have to say, a very interesting journey by your side virtually. It's always amazing to me. People will say, well, you and Bill are such good friends. I said, yeah, we are. They're like, so when did you guys meet? And I said, well, we met in 2010. And they're like, well, and the conversation always gets to, well, how often do you see each other? Well, we have yet to ever meet one another face to face. We've never been, I know, we have never been in the same, vicinity together. But
it's incredible.
I have,
because it's like a brotherly connection, and it's just amazing.
It is. And it's one of those odd kind of things that just happens. But I have been there by your side as you have started. You started out writing your book and doing interviews and working on getting it turned into a film, and then all of a sudden you started getting these invitations to come and perform deliverances and exorcisms, whatever you want to call it. You choose the term deliverance, and I do think that's probably more of an appropriate term. It's not just that you are expelling this entity, but you are actually delivering that person from the entity's control. And you and I have talked, sometimes it's not just one event. You may go back multiple times to deliver someone because of the hold that entity has on them.
Absolutely right. And, people feel good in knowing that they can always contact me for help, and it makes them feel good to know that there is somebody out there that cares and that can literally be at their front door in the matter of making an appointment to do so. So, God makes the impossible possible. I can never thank him and praise him enough for it. And I will just continue this journey as long as I'm here on the earth, and as long as God will allow me to do this and have me to do this. For me, it's the greatest thing to know that God's worked through me to help somebody and to help change their life for the better and help them to move forward and just see them in their transformation. I can't describe the joy involved in something like that.
Now, real quickly, I want to tell people how they can get in touch with you, but you have just re-released 10 Steps to Victory as an audiobook.
Yes.
You have 3 books, Dark Forest Delivered and 10 Steps to Victory. 10 Steps to Victory you've re-released in a new form as an audiobook. Now, my question is, is there the possibility of seeing Dark Forest and Delivered become audiobooks as well?
Absolutely, and it's going to be a bigger project with that because they're bigger books. But yes, right. I do see that in the future. And I want to give a big thanks to Annette Munich at Stellium Books. You know, she publishes Dark Force, and she was doing the other two. And we recently, I decided to take them down, and I said I want to offer 10 steps to people for free, and I want to offer it in an audio because I kept getting the messages from people. We want to hear your voice with the prayers and all these things. So this is why I did it. I really felt that God was guiding me to do that. So I thought, okay, this is an offering. It is free for all who want it. Just visit my website, billbean.net, or billbeanministries.com, and you can click on, and there it is. So, I mean, God has given me so much, and I always try to give back, and it brings me great joy to be able to do nice things, and I certainly hope that whoever clicks on and listens, I pray that it will be a blessing to them and a guide for them as well. I have a lot of exciting things going on, Travis. You know, we have a meeting tomorrow to see if we can finally get Dark Force turned into a movie, and you know, that's been an ongoing thing for many years. I was recently in Miami and made some great connections there. I have a publicist company now out of Miami that I feel is really going to be great for me and making great connections there. So a big thanks to Smilka and Associates, Smilka Milgaza, and I'm really excited about that. But, I mean, we're blessed, and I thank you for always being there for me. And Travis has been there with me through all these things, and we've had many different meetings with different people pertaining to the Dark Force movie. It has been a long journey in itself on that, but I've always said that if it's God's will, then God's will be done, and this thing will become a reality, so we'll see how that goes. And as far as the TV series as well, I've been approached several times in the past by different production companies wanting to do a TV series based on my life and my work and these things. And I say the same thing. If it happens, praise God, wonderful. If it doesn't, I'm very, very happy the way things are now. I praise God for all of his blessings. So I urge all of you, be thankful for the things that you do have. And if other things come along that add to that, wonderful, praise God. But we must always be thankful and have gratitude for things.
Absolutely. Bill, let's tell folks how they can get in touch with you if they want copies of your books or if they need deliverance.
Boy, did we, the time just went like that, didn't it? So, of course, it always does. And I want to thank Wendy. I want to thank you and Travis both for having me. I look forward to the next time.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
And for anybody out there that wants to get copies of my books or
okay, if you guys can hear me, I cannot hear anything.
Plug your headphones back in.
That could do it, Wendy.
It could, right?
That very well may. Travis?
Apparently, Travis is gone.
Hello?
He's gone. Okay, yep. Well, again, I want to thank you both. It's been a pleasure as always. And I want to thank everybody out there for listening in and for being in the chat. And God bless all of you. And for anyone out there who is in need of spiritual deliverance or curse breaking, or you're having some kind of issues in life, just visit billbean.net or billbeanministries.com. You can contact me directly from the site. My assistant Melinda will get back to you, and I'll be there. And that's, certainly one of my slogans. I'm Bill Bean, the spiritual warrior, and I'll stand for you, and it's the truth. And and the same thing for books. If anybody wants to get a copy of Dark Force or listen to the free audio version of 10 Steps to Victory, please visit billbean.net. It's right there. So, again, Wendy, thank you so much. And Travis, I wish you could hear me, but you can't. Thank you, and thank everybody out there, and God bless you guys.
Thank you so much, Bill. And man, go out there and get them. We're with you.
Well, I'm going to continue to keep keeping on,
Okay.
and I will be in touch with you guys, and we'll set another date to come back because there's a lot more to talk about.
Oh, please do. Anytime. You know that.
And we got to get Travis's headphones fixed.
Got to do something with it. Maybe we should just get Travis fixed. Can you set that up? I hope he listens to this. Yeah.
Don't hear the playback.
That's right. Yep.
All right, Wendy. Thank you very much. God
Thanks,
bless
Bill.
you, and we'll talk soon.
Okie
Bye-bye.
dokie. Bye. All right, and that was the wonderful Bill Bean. He joined us for the evening. Travis is he's out in Cyberland somewhere. He's trying to message me, and I'm trying to read all the lovely messages in chat. So he'll have to wait. If you like the show, please give us a like on Spreaker. You can find us on Mystic Moon Cafe Radio on Facebook. We're working on a website, but we haven't actually got it up and set up or anything yet so far. It's in the works. It's in the talk stage right now. You can contact us at mysticmooncafe@gmail.com. We are on Twitter at mysticmoonc. We didn't have enough, letters for all of it, but that's okay. And you can always message us on Facebook, email us, however you like. Anyway, I'm going to take us out with The Mystic by Adam Jensen, and then we'll talk to you next week when we have Kim Douthit out of Spooked in Seattle. Good night, everybody.
Got a head full of spiders and a heart that isn't here. In a room full of lighters, all my demons reappear. Broken cigarettes and bullet holes. One more to the chest and I'm alone. Nothing gets me any higher, and nothing ever will. Tried to stay sober, tried to stay clean. Wake me when it's over, like a bad dream. Mama doesn't call, sister never writes. Bet you they would laugh if I called to say goodbye. No one's gonna worry and notice when I'm gone. No, they won't know I'm missing till they pull me out the mystic. Nobody can remember what color eyes are on my face. I'm a freak, I'm a pretender. I never really had a place. Broken cigarettes and bullet holes. One more to the chest till I'm alone. Nothing gets me any higher, and nothing ever will. Tried to stay tried to stay clean. Wake me when it's over, like a bad dream. Mama doesn't call, sister never writes. Bet you they would laugh if I called to say goodbye. No one's gonna worry and notice when I'm gone. No, they won't know I'm missing till they pull me out the mystic. Tell the preacher not to pray. There's no angels where I go. Only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home. Tried to stay sober, tried to stay clean. Wake me when it's over, like a bad dream. Mama doesn't call, sister never writes. Bet you they would laugh if I called to say goodbye. No one's gonna worry and notice when I'm gone. No, they won't know I'm missing till they pull me out the mystic. Tried to stay sober, tried to stay clean. Wake me when it's over, like a bad dream. Mama doesn't call, sister never writes. Bet you they would laugh if I called to say goodbye. No one's gonna worry and notice when I'm gone. No, they won't know I'm missing till they pull me out the mystic.
Thank you for joining us tonight. You've been listening to Mystic Moon Cafe. Join us every Wednesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. On behalf of Wendy Schindler, this is Travis Short saying have a great rest of your week.
That's all, folks.